expensive drip, exotic cars when I took that loss.
What's going on, guys? It's your man, Ed Hayes, the wholesale coach here, back for another episode of the Wholesaling Mastermind podcast, guys. And in this podcast, I've got Lianna Alcock and Todd Wetzelberger out here. There's some real estate investors, and they've got a lot going on, guys, and we got a lot of things to talk to you all about in this session, guys. I'm not even going to spoil it. I'm not going to give any spoilers yet, but I'm glad to have you all on. How are you all doing? Lianna and Todd, how's it going, guys?
Great.
Good.
All right. Thanks for coming on. Oh, yeah. My pleasure. Yeah. So, I really wanted to be able to chat with you all. Lianna, I know you had reached out to me originally. So, I just want you all to kind of introduce yourselves. I'll let you all kind of take the mic for a little bit. Why don't you all introduce yourselves individually, and then we'll kind of just dive into it.
Sure. Yeah, go ahead, Todd.
I was going to say you go first.
Okay, I will. So yeah, I'm Lianna. I live in British Columbia, Canada. Haven't been into wholesaling very long or real estate investing very long. Quick story: Todd and I we met online, and he graciously offered to teach me everything that he knows. So we've been partnering since then for about 6 or 7 months, something like that. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. I don't know. I'm a mom. I got 4 kids. No, I stayed home. Say about me. I work a lot. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, Todd. Take it over.
Sure. Yeah, well, I'll do a little more on the intro. How Lianna and I met actually through a mastermind group. It wasn't online through a dating site.
Right. Let's clarify. Right.
Everybody thinks we're married, and I'm like, no. It's like he's a wife, husband. No, just
right.
Yeah, but as fate would have it, I firmly believe that's a whole different topic about the vibrations you put out, how you guys connected. But we met through Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi were putting on knowledge business blueprints, like how to put together your own mastermind. And I've been doing real estate for 25 years now. Just about everything, notes, non-performing, development, condos, fix and flip, just about everything in real estate I've done. And I thought about putting together a group to coach. I had been thinking about it for years, and we met through this group because they were teaching you how to put together a mastermind, which I've never done. So anyway, Lianna and I met, and we had a small group together between ourselves, and she wanted to learn real estate, and she's got a phenomenal, she didn't really allude to it, Leanna's phenomenal on the phone. She got a customer service background. And she asked about real estate. I said, hey, I'll teach you. And she kind of took it to it like a duck in water, which has been 6 months now, I think.
Yeah,
right?
6 or 7, something like that.
And finally closed the first wholesale deal. We connected with some people, and she actually quarterbacked the whole thing and got that deal done. We have a bunch of fix and flips in the pipeline, and Leanna's jumped in and learned every aspect of the business. And in 6 months, she doesn't do justice to herself. She's running circles around wholesalers that have been doing this for 10 years because of we were talking about the value of paid coaching. And this isn't a commercial, but it's just amazing when you can kind of get with somebody who has been doing this so long.
Yeah.
And you have somebody that's willing to put in. Leanna said she works really hard. We both do, but it pays off. And that was one of the kind of themes that you asked us before we started recording about, and we'll talk about that in a minute here, but as far as the background here, I've been doing this for a long time. It's a lot of fun. Had my ups and downs, and I'll share that, a little bit in later in the call, but that's how we met. And we're ramping up. I was kind of getting burnt out on fix and flips. I've been doing them for so many years. I've done probably 1,000 at least, but I brought a partner on who's a project manager, a professional project manager. I'm good at it. He's great at it. And it's taken that pressure off of the fix and flip. So we're doing about 20 of those this year. And then we have a whole remote wholesale operation. Leanna's in Canada. I'm in the Baltimore, DC market. And we're actually scaling up now. We're bringing on VAs. We finally got our CRM sorted out. So we're on this meteoric rise right now. And it's really because of Lianna and I's connection and our kind of chemistry that we're really good at certain things, and we really gel together. So
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, that's a huge part, I think. Yeah, we just work well together.
That makes a big difference.
Yeah, totally does. Yeah.
It really, really does. You always want to have people on your team that you can like really like, you know, you're good at this, I do this, and you're not stepping on each other's toes, and that chemistry has got to be right. Seriously.
Yeah. And you know, it's funny you said that, Ed, because sometimes it takes a lot of iterations for you get into that situation.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we were just lucky that we were just lucky that it was just like luck or fate or whatever you want to call it that brought us together. Like, because usually it takes time to find something that's really cohesive, but it worked, and we sort of just rolled with it. So yeah,
right.
I owe a lot to Todd for what he's taught me, because it's irreplaceable in my sense, you know.
I was just about to say, like, like you really kind of done a lot in like 6 or 7 months then. So I'm wondering, like, so how long did it take you to actually get that first deal then?
So I think it was in my I think 3rd month or 4th month. Like we had stuff in like under contract, but I was basically just kind of brought us buyer and a seller together, basically is what happened. And then I ended up facilitating because the two sides couldn't really get along together, and it was just probably a really bad example of your first deal, but good because I learned all the things not to do. It was about, I think, 3 or 4 months, but that took a good 2 months to close. Like it was that bad. Okay. Yeah, we had one under contract before that we now have on the MLS. So I think it was 3 months or so. But I'd been researching a little bit about real estate before I met Todd. Probably for a couple months, I was just learning about it, you know, seeing little things, and then I'd actually bought a course from Dean Graziosi right when I met Todd, and Todd's like, send it back. Send it back.
We don't want to bust you.
And I was like, because, you know, it was $400 or whatever it was. And yeah, it's probably a good thing that I did give it back, because I think I got more experience.
You did. Okay, good.
And keep in mind, just to be fair, we're not busting on it, because I forget but it seemed really basic for all, because I've spent, Ed, you probably have too. If you look behind me, my bookshelf behind, this is just one of 3 in my office. I've got thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars of courses. So we're not, you know, saying don't educate yourself. But
on this course,
that particular one is so basic. I was like, hey man, we've got, you know, on my computer, I probably got $100,000 worth of training, because I firmly believe in investing in that. But so I just want to be clear, we're busting on it. But but the thing is, wholesaling, you know, Ed, you do it. A lot of the people that teach this stuff make it look super easy. Oh, you just get a buyer and a seller and a contract. And Lianna can tell you, and you and me.
Totally.
There's a lot more to it, but the payoff is worth it, right? The payoff is definitely worth it, but it's more to it than they tell you, right?
It's gonna be hard. Sometimes it's really gonna suck. You know what I mean? Like, I try to keep that clear with people. Like, look, it's not magical. It's not gonna the deals aren't gonna make themselves. Like, if you want it, you're gonna put in. If you want a $10,000 deal, you're going to put in $10,000 worth of effort.
Yeah,
I mean, magic. It's not just going to happen.
You could be really lucky, you know. You could.
But that's like almost like
the time you're going to bust your ass.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's also one of those success principles, you know, of the universe here. And I'm God, I hate even saying how old I am. I'm 52. It sounds like an old guy, and I am, I guess. But I still think I'm 20, right? But I've learned, I've been studying personal development since high school, and I've read Psycho-Cybernetics was the first book I read. The universe works in a certain way, and this isn't esoteric. This is like proven, right? You know, quantum physicists have proven it, and you have to put that value out into the world. And there was a lesson I think we talked about before we started recording, that if people want to get into this business, if you're willing to put in the time initially, you're going to work, and sometimes it might get frustrating, but eventually the sky opens up. And Sean Terry talking about that, and a lot of, you talk to different trainers and gurus out there, you got to bust your butt in the beginning, but eventually it gets easier, because like, wow, but you got to put that time in.
That sort of did happen with us too. It was like, we were, when I first started anyways, we were like, work. And it was like, okay, something's got to give. And then all of a sudden it was like, bam, we had 3 contracts in like a week, like, you know, so it was just like, and you could almost feel that like vibration in the air that was like, oh, I can feel something's going to happen, you know, at least I did.
Right.
Something's going to happen here soon. And then it was like, bam, right? So, I mean, if you work hard at anything, it's eventually going to pay off. But a lot of people just give up before it pays off in the end, right? So
Yeah, and that's I think that's what a lot of people struggle with, is actually dealing with that adversity and keeping going.
Yeah,
Because like yeah, they all hear the stories like, yeah, it's gonna be hard, but like Todd, how you kind of mentioned, like most people out here are kind of just making it seem like it's so easy. Or like
yeah,
if you go into
totally.
these major huge Facebook groups and you see all of these people posting these huge checks like, yeah,
Yeah,
cash out, hashtag blessed, you know what I mean?
yeah,
All this type of
exactly. And
stuff.
it's like,
It's just like, man, I want to be hashtag blessed, you know? So it's
yeah,
like they
totally.
don't they don't people don't see the work that went behind that though, you know,
No,
like they don't see the nights that that person went to bed struggling and crying and sad, that, you know, or like
totally.
it's like constantly working hard and questioning whether they want to keep going, and like that's the reality of
It
any
is.
business in our
I've
reality.
seen other people that have been like 3 years doing this and they haven't got a deal.
Yeah,
And I think like
yeah,
if I hadn't have started to work on my mind before this, then I would have given up too. But
yeah,
I think your mind's you gotta really get it to stop talking to you and forget. I call them the guardians in my head, but stop the guardians in my head telling me I can't do stuff. I think that's a huge part,
yeah.
because I'm a completely different person than I was 2 years ago. I would have never done this. I would have never had like thought of, oh, I could work for myself or I could do this, you know, especially
Right.
being here in Canada and not knowing anything about real estate. I didn't know what an ARV was. I knew nothing, you know, I absolutely knew nothing about it. I knew nothing.
That's so
And
interesting.
yeah,
And that's
yeah,
how it goes. It's
but
like
it
you never
is.
know where you're kind of gonna lead, right? Where you're gonna end up.
Yeah, but I mean, I kind of had it set in my mind that I can't rely on anybody else but myself, so I got to do it for me, right?
I
And I
love it.
have family and kids that rely on me, and so I don't have a choice, right? I have to do it. So that's kind of where my mind kind of came from, and yeah, I probably work way too much. I work
Hey,
way too much,
I'm a
but
workaholic too, so I know how you feel.
yeah, I've always said, like, if I can work really hard right now, like later I won't have to.
Yep.
So that's kind
Yep.
of my mindset, right?
That's
So
the mindset. Same thing here.
That's an
yeah,
important message though, right? I mean, we all think, all three of us study personal development. And if you put in the time now, because we had a bunch of rental properties. We were in New Orleans when Katrina hit. Was that 14 years ago? We had a $3 million business like wiped out overnight, and we had to rebuild. But we started from scratch and we rebuilt it. Built it once, had to rebuild it again. But if you're willing to put in that time, this isn't like a never-ending workaholic. Like at some point, you can get the fruits of your labor. And I think Lianna was saying she has a family. I think part of it is kind of the messages we're all giving out to people is like, hey, if you want to do this, have a reason why, and your reason why will get you through those nights where you're frustrated or you're like, man, I talked to the 80th person. Or I think there was a student, Sean Terry's, who said he was in Phoenix, which is a super competitive market, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the ground, you've been to Phoenix, but the ground is rock hard in the summertime. It's like Mars, right? And this guy was talking about, I think he put 2,000 bandit signs out before he got his first deal. And, dealing with code enforcement, all that kind of crazy stuff.
Right.
And can you imagine trying to put those wire frame bandit signs in the ground in Phoenix in the summertime, right?
Right.
And he had to like get these hard stakes, like and he was talking about just like the grind of putting out bandit signs in Phoenix. And it's, in Maryland, you're in Chicago and it gets cold where you are. Atlanta's in Canada, trying to put a bandit sign when the ground's frozen, right? Or putting, and we don't do bandit signs anymore, but that's the grind. But if you have a why, and my why, I've been doing this for so long, not that this is boring. I can do it I don't know if I can do it in my sleep, but after a while, it's just like riding a bike, right?
Yep.
But mine is philanthropy, and there's a lot of, we're setting up a nonprofit for affordable housing for homeless people and homeless veterans.
Right.
That's my thing that really drives me to get through some of the days with frustrations or dealing with CRMs and vendors, all this, right? If everybody has a why, I think that's a super important message. If you have a strong enough why, you'll do whatever it takes, right? If it's a crappy job or a relationship or that, I feel like it's so, and Tony Robbins talks about it in all the big personal development guys. If you have a why, it'll get you through all the other stuff. So.
Totally.
Man, I love it, man. So Todd, like you talked about how like you've got decades of experience in the game, and I love that, and the fact that like the homeless shelter idea, like that's like, we're definitely going to have to talk about that. Like I'm going to touch base on that in a second as well. But like, I want to know, like, how did you end up like kind of getting started in real estate? Like what led you to real estate?
Yeah. And I'll try to be very, very brief, but I don't know if it's genetic, but I played Monopoly when I was a kid and I loved it. Right. And,
Right.
and my family were butchers by trade. They had stalls in all the markets in Baltimore, and they were meat. They had a couple grocery stores, and my grandfather was kind of the head of all. He died before I was born, and he got into some real estate investing back in the 50s and 60s. Actually, he actually started building a loan association too, ironically. But I never knew him because he died before I was born. So I think some of it's partially genetic, but part of it was that the intro into it was the first course I bought was Carlton Sheets. And I was back like early when Carlton Sheets was still on TV, the infomercials. And I still have his books and tapes. And so I always had an interest in it. Yeah, tapes. But I was doing other stuff. I started investing. I was still working in the oil field. I used to be a commercial diver. I used to do underwater construction. And that's how I ended up moving to Louisiana, because I used to work in the oil field. And we always had rental properties, but I knew I couldn't do that forever, right? Because it's dangerous. You do it when you're young and you can't do it forever. So I always knew when I got out of the oil field, I was going to invest full time. I just, had it all kind of planned. So it was an interest. I think it's in my blood. And I just love the thrill of the chase. I love hunting deals.
I love it, man.
Right. If you like hunting deals, the challenge of figuring out problems, because I specialize in distressed assets. And that's the fun of it, is solving problems. That's why I started buying non-performing notes after the market crashed. But that's kind of my interest, is I'm good at solving problems. The details, it's not my thing. And Lianna's phenomenal at that. Lianna's really, really good at details. And so anyway, hopefully that kind of made sense. So
yeah, hey, I love it. And then you say like Lianna, she's the yin to the yang, essentially.
Yep.
Yeah. I love that, man. For real. So like I get that same feeling when it comes to just entrepreneurship in general and building businesses and things like that. I love solving problems and like being able to kind of put the pieces of the puzzle together and figure things out. And like the thrill of the hunt, like that next deal, like not, like kind of it always being like a hunt. I kind of like, I love that. That's my favorite part of it as well. So I like that a lot. Sure.
Yeah. I guess the biggest thing that draws me to it is because I come from a huge 25 years of customer service and call center, like cold calls and telemarketing and selling. And I like that whole other side. Like I treat a lot of our I call them customers. So I used to call them customers, clients. Yeah. Like that's what I love. I love building those connections with people and helping them, when they're in not so the best situations. If I didn't make money doing this, I would be okay still doing it and helping people, because that's where I come from. So,
right.
Yeah, that's kind of what I like to solve problems too. But I dig the connections with people and networking with people and hearing about their stories. And yeah, that's the big thing for me. I really enjoy it.
I like that. Like I'm actually reading a book. Well, I'm like rereading a book that I've read multiple times. It's called Traction by, I think it's Gino Wickman.
Yeah, we actually use that in our business. Yeah, we talked about.
That's awesome.
We talked about it last week about the integrator and the visionary, right? The yin and the yang, right?
That's literally exactly where I was going with that.
That's exactly right. and you said about the details. We have to do pro formas, right, for all your your spreadsheets. And I don't like it, but it's one of those things, like, you're not going to love every aspect of your business or your life, right? Some part of your job, some parts of your job, if you can do 80% of it and you love it, 20% is a grind, I think you're pretty successful, right?
Yeah, I agree.
And we literally, before we got on the phone with you, we were working leads 20 minutes ago. And I've got pro formas up, I got fix and flip deals, I got rehab estimates I got to do. And, and so there's still a bit of it. It's a bit of a grind, but that's the part that I've learned to do over the years. I don't necessarily like it, but you have to do it. But if you can discipline yourself to learn those different aspects, you'll be so much more successful in this business. And,
I agree.
But Leanna and I really try to outsource or delegate what she's good at. I mean, I'm good on the phone, but Lianna is really good on the phone and naturally. So I'm like, hey, use this script. Here's some skills, but apply what after dealing, human relations over 20 plus years. And and that's what we're trying to teach other people now as well. And because that's one of the hardest things, getting on the phone. Some people are deathly afraid of it. Right.
Very true.
But you're just solving problems. I tell some of the people we're helping, like, look, just see if you can solve the problem. I think it takes all the pressure off, right? You're trying to help them out.
And just the biggest thing I tell people is just have a conversation. That's all you're doing. You're just having a conversation.
I say that all the time.
Yeah, it's
like all the time.
There's no need to get all worried. Like you're just having a conversation, asking them some questions, getting to
just be normal.
Yeah, exactly. Just be normal. Ask some questions, relate with them, relate things to your life with them, make them feel comfortable. Like that's, let them talk.
I think at the same time though, right, because everybody wants to talk. Everybody wants to feel important.
Just
and
sit
so
and
just
listen.
Just be natural, right? Just relax.
If you sit and let them listen, people like to talk about themselves, right? We all love to talk about ourselves. It gives us dopamine. It's like, So if you let somebody start talking about their life, they will tell you everything about their lives. And all you need to do is just listen and write down important things that you hear, like when you're having that conversation, and then relate back to those important things, relate to your own personal life. And that's really all that it is about having a conversation with somebody.
And they'll consider you the greatest conversationalist.
You know that you're listening. You're exactly. And you just said, you and Lianna both were alluding to that. And I tend to talk more of that. And I have to be mindful. Some people are good with people that you got so many ideas, you want to get them out. And I always have to check myself. You got 2 ears and 1 mouth, right? Listen more than you speak. Yeah. But, another aspect, I think, if it's, you have new people listening to this and want to get into the business, some people are afraid, or they don't have the self-confidence to let the homeowner know, whoever the investor you're talking to, maybe it's a multifamily, that you're going to make a profit, say you're wholesaling. Right. And I think some people are really kind of sheepish about that, but we've always been very open, like, hey, you're either going to pay an agent to list your property, or I'm going to wholesale it. And I don't say, hey, I'm going to make a fee, but if they ask me, like, of course, we're not doing this, for free. At the same time,
it's not charity.
There's no dancing around it. You don't dance around. You just say, hey, and
I think being transparent. Yeah. I'm always transparent in anything that I do. I'll tell them exactly how it's going to go from, front to back, and there's no point in hiding that stuff.
And look at that deal. The first deal we got, on Southern Avenue in Baltimore, was a wholesaler who got, for lack of a better phrase, greedy. He was new. He didn't disclose it to the homeowner, and he got kind of stupid about it. And I've never done this in 25 years. I've never gone around a wholesaler because I bought properties, but this was he wouldn't cooperate. So I went to the homeowner and said, hey, did you know blah, blah, blah. And we worked out a deal.
His contract did expire, though. His contract was expired.
And I'm just sharing this. Well, the only reason I'm sharing this with you, Ed, is because here's a real life example. We're kind of talking in generalities, but here's a real life example where I went to the homeowner and said, hey, here's the deal. We had a solution worked out. The appraisal didn't come in where it's supposed to. We had an alternate solution. And she's like, I wasn't aware of any of this. I said, well, tell you what, here's a solution. How about you carry the financing for a couple of months? We'll rehab the house out of pocket and we'll sell it when it's done. And she's like, where do I sign? Done.
Bang.
And we were still willing to pay him a fee, just split it up over time. He's like, no, I got to have all my money up front. I'm like, dude, you're not thinking about the homeowner.
That's crazy.
Right? Isn't that? And
that's crazy.
It's such a simple deal. And we just worked it out. And I would never do that, but he was just thinking about himself. That's all he cared about. Nobody else. And now it's a done deal. It's on the market. We're going to have it sold soon. And it was win-win all the way around.
Nice.
And not that we're special. It's just that you put the homeowner first, solve the problem, and it was easy for everybody to make money off it and win. Anyway.
Yeah. So I think that's like a really, really important thing to say, though, because it kind of goes into what we were just saying as far as like having that conversation with the seller. It's like at the end of the day, we're just here to solve problems. That's genuinely, I feel like when you're genuinely trying to solve problems and you're not just looking at that person as a number sign, then you'll do whatever it takes. It feels like it's like, I don't know. It's just like it opens up doors for you. And then you end up getting more blessings back from other sources sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't even come from the person that you're helping. Sometimes it comes from left field and someone's just blessing you with something, But I feel like you can't be in it for just the money. Yeah, that's great. You know, obviously we're not doing this for charity. We're not trying to do stuff for free, but it's like, you know, let's actually try to get value. Let's start at value first. And if we can't provide value, then we bag out. You know what I mean? That's how I operate.
When we all spoke last week, that's how we all connected, right? Because we're aligned. And it goes back to that theme about the universe. The universe works that way, right? It really does. And it's not, this isn't, some people might get, that's kind of esoteric. It's not, it's real. And it's legit. And you just said it.
And I think too, the gurus make it kind of seem like, oh, it's just, you know, a quick 10 grand. It's a quick, easy 10 grand. So then you get all ramped up that you can make 10 grand so quick, right? And that's all that they ever talk about is, all they ever talk about in their trainings, right? A lot of them.
That's so
it's
true.
just about how quick and easy it is to make money. But that's really not that's not why I'm in it. I mean, I'm in it for the money, but like I said, it's more helping people who, you know, need the help, right? Because us humans don't help each other enough. You know?
That's so true. Oh Lord,
it's true. It's
and that
really
is how
sad.
kind of we connected, like in that, you know, our initial phone call or whatever. That's what I was really looking forward to actually doing this, you know, this session with you all, because, you know, I get that genuine vibe from you all that you all are like genuinely there to help people, and like you want to help people get to the next level. So speaking of that being said, what are you about to say, Ty? You about to say something?
Well, go. Yeah, well, just quick, hold your thought. This is so related. You know, I've told you when we spoke last, I was doing like whistleblowing when the market crashed, right? And I was exposing a lot of the fraud the banks committed, and all the fraudulent foreclosures and the robo signing. I was knee deep in that. I went to the FBI, the IRS, SEC. I was pushing up against the bear, right? I was exposing some really, really bad stuff, and they kind of came after me for it. Right? And I was on this mission. I was like, because I've been a private lender, I've been a landlord. I've had to do evictions. I've had to take properties back, but I always did it gracefully. We always treated people with respect. And I saw these banks committing these fraudulent foreclosures, and they were committing they were committing REMIC fraud and foreclosure fraud. And anyway, I turned into like an accidental litigator, right? So the reason I'm sharing all this is because kind of coming back from that experience, I went down a very, very deep rabbit hole. And most people, either some people on this call may know it or not, but there's greater forces that kind of run the world, right? The bankers have been running things for centuries, right? I'm not gonna put my tinfoil hat on, but that's all very real. And you talked about looking out for each other. The financial system has it set up so we're all kind of very, very hyper competitive, and we're looking out for number one. And it's the financial world is set up that way on purpose to have us competing against and fighting amongst one another. And I don't want to go too deep into it, but it's like those musical chairs. And the bankers control the money supply. Recessions are engineered. I mean, you go back to Andrew Jackson. Andrew Jackson dealt with this back in the 1800s when he was president. I mean, I could give you a whole history lesson. Some people on the call might know this or might not, but this has been going on for centuries. And it's designed to have us fighting amongst each other and not looking out for each other. So I think the more people do look out for each other, it kind of counterbalances that. I hope that wasn't too esoteric.
Oh,
but
no,
it's a very real, and we can still make money and still help people. It's a very real thing, but you can do both, you know?
That's so true. That's so true. And I think our society promotes it. Like the culture promotes that competition. And it's so doggy dog, especially in real estate. Somebody will go around you so fast. Buyers, sellers, wholesalers. Literally everybody's out to get each other, essentially. That's what it kind of feels like. So I purposely put myself out here to kind of be that exception, to be like that genuine person that's like actually trying to help you and not bankrupt you in the process.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And that's probably why so many people are drawn to you, because they can sense that, right? I would not doubt it. Yeah.
I hope so, at least. I hope so that people would find me and like really get that sense. And people do tell me that all the time. And like, I feel like it's so many people, and it's obvious. Like some people are just obvious out here just sales pitching people, you know. And it's like every video feels like a commercial, you know what I mean? So I don't want to be like that. Like, I've got courses, you know, I coach, I do all of that stuff. Don't get me wrong, but I don't want like people to see me and just think that it's all about the like glitz and glamour and stuff like that. Like I want them to know that I'm genuinely here to help them. I'm not like flashing my fancy car and, you know, like fancy watches and gold chains, and because I feel like I don't want people to fall in love with that image. I want people to fall in love with the process.
Yeah, we're posting every wholesale check on Facebook. Like, you
right.
know, yeah, like
I'm not trying to do that anyway because I'm in Chicago and I value my life.
True.
So it's like, nah, not gonna catch me doing that. I don't care what nobody got to say about it. I'm not doing it.
but at the same time, though, even though you don't flash that stuff, you know, I've been doing this. You know, we've made it, lost it, made it again, strictly by way of a hurricane, right? Wiped out New Orleans overnight. But real estate, for the people that, you know, are listening to this, that want to learn this stuff, it can provide freedom like I've never experienced before. And that's, to me, like, everybody has their own reason why. Yeah, talk about philanthropy, but freedom to me, I've been living this, you know, what do you call equity kill lifestyle for 25 years. And I don't think I'm employable. I wouldn't have it any other way. And I love the freedom. Like, I was up at 4:30 this morning listening to podcasts, and I was working, and I dozed back off for like 6:30 to 7:30. My girls were still home from school for a couple more days, but I was out in the woods with the dog for 2 hours. But I work sometimes late at night. I'm up early in the morning, but I would not trade that freedom for and real estate is, I'm sure, for you as well. Lianna's seeing it now. It can provide a level of freedom that most people, when they get it, now Lianna's got a taste of having a deal done, right? She's got money in her pocket. Get that first deal, like oh my goodness, I can either leave my job or keep my job and work part-time. I can put my kids through school, you know, take care of my elderly parents, whatever your reason is. Real estate has, at least for me, I'm guessing for you, has provided opportunities that I never would have had otherwise. And I think it can do the same for others, you know?
Yeah, I'm so glad that you mentioned that, like, for real, because that's like that's the reason why I do these sessions. And that's the reason why I make the YouTube videos. And like at one point I just started making YouTube. I started putting my videos out there because my mentor told me, it was like, look, just like I gave you the game, you need to go teach other people this stuff as well, right? So I was like, okay, pay it forward. I'll do it. I'll start to make the videos. And it was like people started reaching out to me and was just like, man, like, you know, I'm just getting started. I'm 19 and like, you know, I want to start, you know, I want to change my life and, you know, I want to make my mom proud and da-da-da-da-da. And I was just like, I have to keep doing this. Like, I can't stop. Like, I must do this now. And it's just like, I don't know. It's just like that vibe of just knowing that you're genuinely serving people and trying to help people and helping people become free. Like, me getting free is like, to me, it's worth everything. I wouldn't trade this for nothing in the world, and I would not be here if it wasn't for real estate. So I just try to give that back.
Yeah, what I was saying is I marketed myself online a lot to kind of get myself out there, and I got a ton of people message me, you know, we want to learn, we want to help. And that's how Todd and I started our first kind of like little coaching group, because I felt compelled, like I'll help you, right? Because I know what it's like to live, you know, paycheck to paycheck, or, you know, I'm like, I'm no different than anybody else, right? Because I'm not, right? I'm the same as anybody, you know, my bills don't get paid sometimes, right? Like, we're all the same. We're no, you know, and so that's how we started with our first kind of group with, you know, not that I know everything in real estate, I don't, but I know a lot. Todd is like so knowledgeable. If anyone could learn from me, it's crazy. Like, I've learned so much in this short little time. It's crazy. Like, I can't even put words to it.
I think another message there too, Ed, is Lianna and I, you know, we all come from different backgrounds. And can you guys still hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay,
can
cool.
You hear me okay?
I can't, I'm glad we're checking in just to make sure. Yeah, but you think about all the different backgrounds. Lianna is in Canada, never stepped foot in the US, doing deals remotely. I think about young, old, you know, across the spectrum. Anybody can be. That's the cool thing. I think real estate is such a great equalizer. I've seen people that have speech impediments in wheelchairs. There's we do multifamily investing as well. We're starting to ramp that up. There's a boy, a 13-year-old boy that was another mastermind group with a multifamily kind of guru. He and his father parted, 13 years old. He's on the phone with commercial real estate brokers doing calls, and they had no idea he was 13.
Wow.
How cool. And there's another guy who's, I think, on Connected Investors, like 71 years old. So to me, real estate is the great equalizer. You can come from any background. There's a guy I know that was living, he was a contractor. He lost everything in '08. He was living out of his truck, and he came back. So I think real estate offers an opportunity for so many different people and so many different walks of life to be where some other industries you couldn't do that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So true. Yeah, that's really, really true. Like, I've seen it all as well. Like the guy that I was just telling you about, like the young guy that was 19, like he ended up reaching out to me, like we fully connected. That's one of my favorite clients of all time. I'll shamelessly say that or whatever. Dejan Charles. He's a super young guy, just crushing it out in Pittsburgh now. And it really just, it just started from having those conversations, actually getting that. And so anybody can do it. You could be young. And then another one of my clients, Williams Mesidor, like his English is not very like super crispy or whatever. And he's still getting deals. Like his first deal was like 5,000. Second deal was 25,000. It's just like life-changing type amounts for most people. I mean, like just that one 25,000 deal, someone's whole year that's listening to the podcast. That's your whole year.
That's your whole wages in a year for half these. Totally. Yeah, it's like their wages for a whole year. Like it's life changing. Just that little bit of the little bit of money, it can do like a world of difference. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, like the freedom aspect. I think that like one deal is literally life changing. Like when people say you're only one deal away, like it's for real. Like you're
totally
just one deal away from your entire perspective on life being different. If you really take this path. So real quick, speaking of like getting deals and things of that nature and coaching people, why don't we talk about you all's new coaching program that you all got coming to the market and whatnot? I want to kind of open up the floor for that because I was extremely interested and it sounded extremely intriguing. So why don't you all let the audience know? I don't know who wants to kind of take it, you know what I mean? But
I'll let Todd do it because it was
more about the coaching.
Yeah, it was Todd's kind of idea. I'm just kind of along for the ride a little bit. But I'll let Todd explain it. But I'm super excited for it too. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, give your input too, Lianna, because Lianna's really the one that pulled this all together. I mean, and it was an idea, but it was before we started recording it, we were talking about the model, and the model was really kind of brought to me from an investor we had on another project outside of DC, a rehab like a year and a half ago. And we were talking about these people that have money that want to invest, but there's some people that want to learn and don't have money. We're trying to figure out how to make this, affordable. And we kind of, and this one investor who was an equity investor in a project, he said, hey, he goes, do you ever think about offering coaching where people can potentially either invest or not invest in a project, or they can invest in coaching and maybe get a percentage of the deal and that pays for their coaching. So they actually eventually, and there's a lot of guys out there that teach it where they want 10 grand, I'm not going to name names, but 10, 20, 30, 40 grand in coaching. And there's people pay it every day and they haven't slowed them done a deal. And I figure if we're going to spend time coaching, we want to try to put together a program that makes sense where they can afford it, get a taste of a deal, and then either work with us or not. And that way they're trained. It's kind of like teach them how to fish, right? So we put together a model where, and we're still enrolling. We only have spots for, and I'm not going to, it's not false scarcity. We only have spots for 10 people because we still do our business every day. Like you were saying the same thing.
Right.
We have to still run our business every day. Like we were working leads before we got on this phone. We still have, a ton of deals to go through, but we kind of put the model together where the coaching is, I think, $3,600. You spread it over 12 weeks, but the students are also going to be given leads. So we're going to have on the phones literally the day they start, like getting to the script, getting their head right, getting them over the fears, but working leads. And then they get 10% out of every deal that comes in. And the goal is by the time 12 weeks are over, they might not close their first deal, but they should at least have a couple in escrow and a couple in the pipeline. And when those close, their coaching is essentially free. But like that, we wanted to have the Habitat for Humanity model. You can't, if anybody doesn't pay for something, either sweat equity or money, they're not going to, once again, it goes back to the universe. You have to give value, right? Yes. So we figured give value. And I used to volunteer, I still volunteer for Habitat for Humanity. Their model is you might not be able to afford a big down payment for your house, but you have to work on somebody else's house. You have to put in some kind of equity, either money equity or sweat. So we figured let's do a little bit of both. Let's do some money equity and sweat equity. And that's our model. So like I said, we'll let you know. And 12 weeks, once we get the, the last people enrolled and we kick it off, whether it goes well or not. But hopefully it's going to go well, but that's kind of the model. But Lianna's one, I got the idea. Lianna has been the one that put all this together. It never would have happened without her. Really, she's doing all the work. So
I kind of do all the back end stuff of everything. But yeah, I sort of had the idea when I had all these people reach out to me on Facebook, and I get where those people are, right? Like I'm that same person who I don't have, $5,000, $10,000 to go pay for a course. I live paycheck to paycheck, right? I'm the same in the same sense. So I always felt like if I could give the underdogs some way to excel, then let's do it, right? Let's give them a chance. So that's kind of where that kind of came from, and Todd did it for me, you know what I mean? He just graciously coached me, and so it's like I have to kind of wanted to pay it forward, I guess, in that sense. But yeah, because there are good, solid people that could do really good at this business, but just don't have $5,000. I mean, who does these days, right? Like family, they just don't, right? It's just the way that it is nowadays. Everything's so bloody expensive.
But at the same time, though, if they want to do it bad enough, they'll find a way. Yeah. Right. They'll find a way. And we wanted to make sure, because I've been to those events, we probably all have, where they have a free weekend event and then they have guys in the back room trying to hard close you. Yeah. And put it on a credit card, right? And I'm okay if people want to do that, but I don't want people to be reckless, because I never want to, this coaching thing is a sideline for us. Like, we have our main day-to-day business just like you do, right? Yeah. We're doing our business every day, and it takes time, but we don't want people to be irresponsible. I don't want them taking their last buck and not telling their wife or husband or significant other about it, and all of a sudden they get divorced over it. Like, I don't want to be. I'd rather have that. If they're going to do it, sure, put it on a credit card if you want to, but I don't want it to be your last dollar, because I'd rather you spend a year on bigger pockets, maybe going a little slower, learning it that way. But we all talked about, you had a mentor, right? Yeah. I've had many mentors, back when boot camps were $3,000 for a weekend. I can't tell you how many I went to all over the country, but I put it to use. And whether it was condo conversions or multifamily or fix and flipping or whatever. But I knew when I was buying it, I was going to put it to use. So we just want to make sure whoever does this, because we already have some people signing up already now, they're like, just can't wait, that they're going to be, because the success rate, I think, and Sean Terry is one of the few guys that even alluded to it, it's like 5%. And that's crazy, right? Isn't that crazy? That is. And it's not like 5% on the $400 course. I'm talking 5% for the $40,000 course. Right?
For the big boy stuff, yeah.
That just blows. I'm like, how would you pay 30 or 40 grand and not put this to use? Right?
Yeah.
And we're trying to, I don't want to get, like we're trying to, self-righteous, but we're trying to change that. We're trying to say, hey, you can succeed in this, because it is, once you get a taste of it, like Lianna got a taste of it, you do that first deal and you get that money, and you're now it's like, wow, this isn't theory anymore. It's real. Right. And it could be $1,000, $2,000, whatever. But once you get that first deal, man, you know how it is. When we all did our first deal, it's like, man, this is real. Yeah. I can do this.
Now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So.
Yeah. So I love that, though. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I really like that model, like the, like the kind of like extended, you know what I mean? Like, or like, you pretty much like pay like with the deals type thing, like type situation, where it's like it's more flexible. Let's just put it like that. I like the flexibility.
Yeah. And the other cool thing is that because we teamed up with Nora and her like phenomenal neuroscience of sales, that people probably are like, what's that about?
Yeah, why don't you dive into that? Yeah.
Todd was the one that brought it to me, or that brought it to us, and we took Nora's course, and it's literally, it's like it's so I can't even explain it. Like, I know so much about why I am the way I am now, like how I react to certain things, and now you can take that to your sellers and be able to recognize those, because we all have these different cues and stuff that we put off, and we're all certain a type of person, right? And so that's what she dives into, and really dives into you know, your trauma from your childhood, and like growing from that and learning from that. And it's amazing. She's worked with like huge CEO companies and turned their sales around like phenomenal. Like Nora is amazing. And so when we met her and we teamed up with her, she knew Todd and I like that, like instantly, how we work and how what I need to give to him and what he needs to give to me was crazy. And like she literally talked to us for like 2 minutes, and she just knew, because she can pick up on all these cues. She's been studying it for so long. So we, you know, are being coached by her, and so that's a huge piece to what we're offering too, is the sales training, because that's a big part of this, right? It's you got to be able to sell something to your people, you know. So
true.
I can dive into it a little bit more, but yeah.
Well, there's an example, Lianna, of like, you're really good at what you do, right? I'm really good at what I do, but yet I just invested, you know, it was $5,000 to coach with Nora, and just for like a month or two, and it's amazing. And I've been studying personal development, like I said, since high school, and I've spent hundreds, you know, at least $100,000 in training. And when we were on the call, I was away at the beach a couple of days ago. We were on a coaching call, or an intro call for some new students. And I said, you know, this is some of the best money I've invested in the last 20 years, probably 20 plus years, because it has crossover not just with real estate, but with my family, how I was talking to my daughter the other day, and Nora is so phenomenally in tune with neuroscience and how your brain works. And it goes back to the days when we were cavemen, and you come out of the cave, and instead of being a saber-toothed tiger about to attack you, it's somebody looking to get money out of you. So there's, and I'm not doing it justice, but that same fear response that's triggered when you step out of the cave is the same fear response when somebody's trying to get money from you. And I kind of understood this before. I read a book. If anybody's, you know, taking notes about books to read, I've read a book called Pitch Anything by Oren Klaff, with a K, K-L-A-F-F. And because I was raising money for notes, and I've been raising private capital for years. And Oren Klaff talks a little bit about neuroscience, about pitching, and he's raised over $1 billion. But she takes it so many steps further. And it's fascinating, the insights that Lianna and I have gotten alone, just personally in our lives, our relationships. And I'm so excited that we can share this now and start coaching other students, because I don't think anybody else is teaching this out there. Like, you have a script, you know, we all have a script, whether it's, you know, from Ron LeGrand, from, you know, 20, 30 years, or Carlton Sheets or whatever, or some of the gurus say, we have a script. We don't understand why the script is the way it is, and understanding the nuances of talking to sellers and making them feel safe. And that's a whole different topic we could talk about it for hours, but that's what's exciting about, I think we're on the cutting edge, you know, and we get to share this with other people now. So,
man, I'm not gonna lie, this is like really, really intriguing to me, to be honest. Like the whole neuroscience idea, and like don't get me wrong, like I've read, like, you know, some books like Pitch Anything. You said it was called, right?
Yeah.
I had that on my Audible as well, or whatever. So I listened to that, and like, so I've gotten like some like psychological, like neurological tips as far as like sales and things like that are concerned. But like, to take it next level, I don't know, like, to me that just sounds extremely interesting, because like I'm a psychologist, like, you know, I actually have my degree in psychology and stuff too. So I'm like always thinking of that type of stuff. Yeah, so it's like super intriguing to me.
Well, because she basically explains it that our nervous system is fear-based. That's really how it works, is our nerve, and that's what we run off of, is our nervous system. So it's pretty cool.
So you all are integrating like this, like the neuroscience of sales into your coaching.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's next level right there.
Pretty
That's
cool,
next
right?
level.
Yeah.
I'll be 100% honest with you. Like, that's next level.
What we decided to do in turn of that is offer people that 10% equity every deal, so they're guaranteed to, or, you know, make money while learning at the same time, because that just doesn't happen, right? And
well,
I mean,
the job too. Like, there should be enough time for them to actually get that deal, and so like paid for. I like that a lot.
It's like Nora's regular course is $5,000. This is $3,600. Like, and you get, you know, all of Todd's experience in real estate, and all my experience in the customer service, and Nora's tons of experience in her stuff for cheaper than what
we just paid. we just invested. Yeah,
of it,
yeah.
right? Like it's just,
and honestly, like people pay a lot more for a whole lot
they
less.
do.
I'll be honest with you. And
Totally.
my audience knows already. Like I don't even have people come on here as like some big sales pitch or anything like that.
Right.
I always have people on that I get a genuine vibe that like they genuinely want to help people. Those are pretty much the exclusive people that have ever graced the scenes of my podcast ever.
Yeah.
So like to me, like helping people like really get it mentally, because I think we talked about on our first call, like in all reality, and you know, most of the audience knows this intuitively, it's mostly like the mentality versus the tactics. You know, like you really gotta have your mind set right. If you're gonna make cold calls, you gotta be expecting adversity and knowing how to deal with it and roll with the punches and keeping going. And it's a lot of mentality. So like the neurological aspect of selling is an invaluable piece to actually learn and solidify. I really mean that.
Yeah, and it totally is. I mean, I remember sales training when I was, 10, 15 years ago, and we learned about, the different sales of a driver. There's a driver type person, and there's I forget all of them now, but very similar. Nora calls them something different in her course, but they're very similar. There's different cues that we all kind of put off, how we dress, how we act, when we get scared, what happens, and if you, like Todd said, in your own personal life, like I had an aha moment when we were doing this. I always have this guardian in my head that says I'm not good enough. Well, I'm very analytical. I've learned I'm very analytical, and being an analytical person, I always want to be, I need to have the gold star, right? And I always think I'm not doing a good enough job. So I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, do I think this because I'm just analytical, or do I think this because of, And so it was like, holy, you just take a step back and think, man, you can really learn a lot about yourself and how you react and what you need as a person from somebody else when you're selling stuff too, or, when you're on a team, right? So it's pretty exciting.
And if you take I didn't mean to cut you off, but if you take, I just want to forget what you just said. If you feel safe, right? What you're getting to is if you feel safe, now you can bring that safety to your homeowners, right?
Yeah.
Or picture a distressed homeowner facing foreclosure, right? That's a crappy place to be. If you can bring that safety yourself and deal with your own triggers, because we all bring the baggage to adulthood, right? We all do. And that's what kind of Nora teaches. If we can bring that safety to homeowners or sellers, how much more valuable is that? And that's the whole reason I said, let's invest in this, because now we can bring that safety to the sales situation. And
so you're not
it's fascinating.
You're not only making, building those relationships with your sellers or your buyers for that, and making them feel comfortable in that scenario, but you're also making money as well, right? Like you're doing both things, but so everyone's winning in the long run, right? They're not going to be worried about, us trying to rip somebody off, or, like they get to that, right? And they're in a really junky spot. I would hate to be in that spot. And so if you can make them feel as comfortable as possible, then the transaction just goes so much smoother,
So
and that's that's what this brings. And again, it's about helping people, right? We're not out to be slimy and rip them off because they're in a crappy situation. We're there to help, right?
And a lot of, as you know, because Ed, you're in the business too, a lot of real estate investors have that perception, right, in the world. Like, and even in our scripting, our conversations, I've eliminated real estate investors. Like we were doing calls today, we were recording them because we always record our calls, and Lianna does it, or I do it, or our VAs, or whatever. We say, hey, this is Todd or Lianna. I buy and fix houses, and we go into the rest of the script, but I don't say, hey, I'm a real estate investor. And you could, but that's a nuance that I picked up because and not that I want to be kind of folksy or country, but people hear real estate investor, and I've even had them say it, are you one of those flippers? I met just last week. Someone said, are you one of those flippers? And I said, yeah, that's what we do. But they see it on TV, or they hear it in the news, or that, the attorney general goes after somebody and like, oh, you're one of those sharks who take advantage, stealing a house from a 70-year-old lady. And that's such a perception, as we're dealing with that as well. right? So
That's so true. But real quick though, I just want to mention, like, when it comes to like that, like those phone calls or whatever, I think that what I tell people when it comes to like making those phone calls is like, I feel like if you were thinking about yourself, or if you're like super nervous on a phone call, then I feel like that's kind of selfish. It's like,
right.
you're thinking about you. You're thinking
Think
about
about
like,
them.
oh, how are they perceiving me, or da 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 da. And I just feel like that's selfish. So that's what I told myself. Like, wait, that's selfish. I need to be thinking about Miss Johnson. Miss Johnson needs my help. And when you're genuinely trying to help someone in real life,
Exactly.
it's really hard to think about yourself.
It is, yeah.
That's where it starts. You got to think about, how can I help them?
They can't coexist together, right? It's one or the other. And there's a good book. I was listening to Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Radio, about 6 months ago, and he had a guest in there that is big into Stoicism. I'm not going to get into that, but the guest wrote a book called Ego is the Enemy. And it's exactly what you're talking about. That's your ego, kind of, you're worrying about how are people going to perceive Ed or Todd. Or if you're worried about people are going to perceive you, wait a minute. It's not about you, it's about them. And it's your ego playing tricks with your head. But like you just said, if you're thinking about them, you can't be thinking about yourself. It's just, it seems simple, doesn't it? But it's not simple.
People.
Yeah.
It's so hard for some people to think like that. But
it can be. It definitely can be, because I think, especially when I feel like if you're desperate for money, this is probably not the right business for you yet.
Because you're not
stable enough to not be like thirsty or like desperate for a deal. Because it's hard when you're desperate to not see people as money, because like you're trying to feed your family. So it's like, it's a hard balance. Like, this is not really the business for people who are desperate. Like,
no,
you should
it's not.
Like, have a job already and like have something you got going on to pay your bills, and then try to wholesale. Do not try to wholesale broke.
And then that's such a good, and I'm kind of telling you how to wind your watch, but it's such a good message you just said, because they call it commission breath, right? Well, if you use there's an actual term for commission breath. And in that book, Pitch Anything, Oren Klaff was talking about, he had burned through millions of dollars in his business. He was on his last pitch. He had pitched a bunch of private equity firms in Silicon Valley. I think he said he had $832 left in his bank account, and it wasn't even enough to pay the payment on his Porsche, right? And it was his last pitch, and one of his mentors said, "Hey, you're needy. You're coming into this pitch needy." And he was one of the best pitch guys around, right? Oren Klaff was one of the best, really one of the best boutique investment banking firms in the world, really. He was on his last pitch. He got rid of the neediness, did his pitch, and literally in 2 days, he had $2 million wired in his account from this company that invests. But he was on his last $836, and he's like, I was giving off those needy vibes, right? It's the same thing. And once again, the universe, that's how the universe works. You get rid of those vibrations, and the world will, right? It's the same thing. And I'm hoping people are getting that from this conversation we're having, whether it's you or me or Lianna. That's how it. And we're all human, but if you're desperate, people can smell it a mile away.
That's so true. It's like we got like that intuition to like pick up lies. So I think that we're all human lie detectors. We're like BS detectors. Like, we know when someone's kind of yanking our chain, essentially.
Yeah.
But we try to fool ourselves into believing that they aren't. But like in a natural sales situation, you're going to instantly put that guard up. And like, we're obviously like the enemy. Like, this is like the caveman walking out of the cave, and it's
That's
like,
exactly
I
right.
have my guard up because this is a sales situation. So if you coming in like that with commission, it's just like, it's extremely unlikely that you'll probably get that deal. So like, once again, like the mindset, like for everybody that's listening or watching, like that mindset is really everything. And that's really what it boils down to. That's why I'm glad that you all have like that neurological aspect that goes along with you all's coaching. I think that that's really next level.
Well, and it's not us. It's like Nora. I mean, Oren Klaff kind of labeled it, and I've studied a little bit of neuroscience, but Nora really labels what's happening. And when you can label it, it makes so much more, because you kind of maybe understand it intuitively. You're like, oh, maybe I see why that person, I didn't have rapport with them, or why that person hung up on me, or they got angry with me. And and she was very insightful with me alone, just the way I'm wired, and how I talked to one of my daughters last week about trying to solve a problem. She didn't want me to solve it. She wanted me to just listen. And it's so insightful when Nora kind of labels what's going on. You're like, oh, I get it now. There's a label to it. And that's just been so insightful. And hopefully we can share this now with, this next round when we do this coaching too. So.
Man, I'm really glad to hear that though. Seriously, I'm sure that, some of the people who may be listening or watching, the podcast may be interested in that. So real quick, before I forget, if someone were interested in, getting you all's coaching, how could they go about doing that? What would be the best way to contact you all, like for
probably, probably just finding me on Facebook and messaging me, and I can send them the link. Really,
we have a call Sunday night, right, coming up?
Yeah, there's a call Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern time.
Okay.
And it's just on Zoom, but I have a link. I can send the link to you, and you can pass it out too, like whatever's easiest.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's probably the easiest way. Cool.
So if you all are watching this, check out the links in the description. They will be down there, all the different ways to contact Lianna and Todd for sure. If you all are interested, definitely take advantage of that while the opportunity is there. You said it is going to be like a limited group, right?
Just 10. We can only do 10 in this first round. Yeah. And I think we have 2 or 3. I think 2 or 3 are signed up. And I think, how many are going to be in that call, Leanna, on Sunday? I think 40.
Something like that. Like if we get enough people, we might do a waiting thing and do it. We'll see. Like I think we're going to commit to the 10 and see sort of how it went, but
yeah, we want to make sure that, just like you, Ed, with your group, we want to make sure that once we commit to this, we commit 100% and we give, we'll be promised, right? So we don't want to take on too much, and then we don't want to overpromise, right? So I think we're going to limit it to 10 in this first round so we can make sure we can deliver on it.
Yeah, and I appreciate that too. That makes I appreciate people that are actually thinking about the people once again.
Right.
That's always a good thing. I don't know. Like for me, it's like, the more that we think about how can we serve best, like that's where it's
at. That's it.
Yeah. Like I said, I only bring people on that I genuinely get that vibe that like they genuinely want to help people, because I have people reaching out to me sometimes like, oh yeah, I want to do a sales pitch on your thing. I'm like, nah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, I'm not interested, or I have to kind of send people off or whatever. But that's not at all in any way like what you all were kind of like on, and kind of just like, man, well, you're teaching neurology, like the neurological aspects of actually doing sales training.
Yeah, and we didn't even want to step on your toes because we knew that you had a coaching. It was like, do we even we don't, right? But
right, yeah. But I'm like, oh no, this sounds like way too good. Like we definitely talking about this. I'm like, absolutely. Like, look. I'm trying to help people. At the end of the day, I may not be the best solution for some people, and I can
same with us. Same with us.
Yeah. So people have options at the end of the day. I'm not the end all be all. Look, I'm just another guy out here. At the end of the day, you know what I mean? I'm blessed to be free. I try to, give value to other people or whatever, but I want people to have options. I think competition in the market is good. Like that holds us accountable and makes us better, if anything, then we can't go slacking,
And we all have such a same mindset, right, Lianna? I mean, we were talking today with Ed. And some people, I used to live down south. I come from Baltimore. I used to live up in New England. I kind of talk fast. I move fast. And when I used to live in Louisiana, I was like a Yankee carpetbagger. Like, we don't, he moves too fast. He talks too fast. My last name wasn't Boudreaux or Thibodeau, and I kind of joke about it. But you're right. Some people, they're like, this guy, he's to this or to that. We all have different appeals to certain people. And that's the beauty of this. You can learn real estate. You can pick 20 different people out there, pick the one you're comfortable with, but learn the real estate. That's the more important message, right? It doesn't matter who you learn it from. Get somebody you're comfortable with, right?
Yeah. And that's why I'm doing this in the first place, so I can actually help people. So, I like to have people like you guys on, so then we can kind of give more value to the community as much as possible. Seriously. So real quick though, speaking of value to the community, I've got a question that I kind of want to pose to both of you all that I like to ask, pretty much everybody that comes onto the podcast. And that would be just like, what would be you all's best advice for someone who's just I know we already kind of been talking about it or whatever, right? We got some things out there, but I just want you all to think about like, what would be your best advice to someone that's getting started in real estate and, maybe they don't know where to get going, maybe they don't know how to get started, or, you know, this is one of the first videos that they've ever watched in real estate. Like, what would be your best advice to them going forward?
Go ahead, Lianna, you go first.
My best advice, I mean, and I did this because I didn't know where to go. I didn't know what I was doing either. Is I went on Facebook and I joined every real estate investing, wholesaling sort of group out there, and I just did research. I just started watching what people were posting and looking who kind of where the big players were, and, you know, following them, and just diving in that way, learning, asking questions. No question is wrong, right? Like there's always, don't be afraid to ask. Like maybe you think it might be a dumb question, just ask it, right? Don't worry what some people might beg you for, but just ask questions. That's how you're going to learn. But you know, when I started, is I learned. I would go to work and then I would be, you know, reading, doing stuff on my lunch break. You know, I was doing it all outside. So just put the work into learning it outside of your normal life, and network with people. Like huge network with people. That's my best. That's what I did.
I like that.
Yeah.
So you say so you like kind of observed the market, kind of like you went to Facebook, kind of saw what people were doing.
Yeah, totally.
Kind of dove in yourself.
I mean, I kind of understood what was happening because Todd was sort of teaching me at the same time, but a lot of it was I learned, you know, I started learning about watching YouTube videos and kind of, you know, piecing things together on my own before I met Todd. But yeah, and then it's just about asking questions. Like I heard this saying a long time ago, if you want to be successful in anything, find someone who's doing what you want to do and like mimic them. Do everything, like become their friend, you know? And I did the same thing. I did exactly the same thing with another guy. And I'm like, I want to learn from you because he's doing virtual wholesaling somewhere else. And same thing, but it's like follow them and do what they're doing, copy them, watch them, learn from them. So find someone who's being successful in doing this business and follow them, be their stalker. That's what I did.
Yeah. Hey, do what you gotta do, right?
Hey,
it's all about relationships though. That's great advice because it's not what you know, it's who you know typically.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah, like I met people who aren't even really in this industry online, but they do stuff with like Zapier and like integrations. Like I don't know that stuff, but you know who I go to? My buddy who knows how to do it because I met him, right? And I built that relationship. And you bring that back right into your business. It's your relationship building with your clients too. That's all you're doing.
I love that though. I love that. So like ask questions, take actions and ask questions. There are no bad questions. Just take action.
You got to take action though. You can't just sit. Yeah, you can't just sit and not do anything. You can't just sit and learn. That's not doing anything.
That's so true. That's so true. People think that it's just magically they're gonna get a $10,000 check just fall into their lap.
You got to do the work. Yeah, you got to do it. I mean, and be somebody's, you know, little go-to or whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean? Like offer to work for someone for free. Like there's so many ways you can go and get into this without, you know, spending tons of money. But you're like be someone's apprentice or whichever, right? Like there's so many ways. Be creative. Yeah,
that's great advice. That's really great advice.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Todd, I'm gonna go ahead and put you on deck now.
Yeah. Well, it's a good segue. What Lianna just said, it's a good segue, and it kind of comes back to that theme about, you know, giving value, right? And I think finding a good mentor is super important, whether it's a paid mentor or free mentor. And Lianna and I connected, and she and I actually did a video a couple months ago about the value of paid coaching. But you can get free coaching, right? If you don't say, there's no way I can afford it, get a mentor. And you've had a mentor, right? We've had mentors. I've had multiple mentors. We still, up to this day, have mentors. And everybody who's heard anybody say, you know, every great athlete has a coach, right? It's the same thing. So mentors, huge, you know, careful who you get involved with, check them out, us included, you know. And here's a cool thing, total aside, but, you know, if you look into all that whistleblowing stuff I did when I was exposing some really bad stuff, right? And I had law firms shut down. Like I was going after the big dogs, right? Big That's anyway. But if you Google Todd Wetzelberger, you see in the first page of Google, the DLR, Department of License, Labor, and Regulations, came after me because I sued one of the biggest law firms in Maryland. I was 5 against 1, me being the one. I was a plaintiff. I had no idea I was going up against this monster political machine.
Wow.
And 24 minutes after I had sued one of the biggest law firms in Maryland, they had the DLR say, I would come after me saying I was offering credit rescue services without a license. Total BS, right? I demanded for months, produce the claim. Oh, we can't share that with you. It was all just trumped up. So if you Google Todd Wetzelberger, anybody that knows about marketing, there's a static PDF on the first page of DLR versus Todd, and they did it on purpose to try to smear my reputation.
Wow.
And if you're a marketer, how does a static PDF stay on the first page of Google? You constantly have to have somebody putting it up there over and over. So that's kind of like my badge of honor, because I went down a very deep rabbit hole. I traveled to Panama. I was litigating all over the country. I went down paths nobody would ever even know about in their lifetime, trying to expose this fraud the banks are committing. So I kind of wear that like a badge of honor. But I share that because if you're going to find a mentor, super important, go check them out, because right before you started recording, we talked about a lady in Chicago who may want to join our coaching group, who just got taken for a ride. Somebody last week got taken for a ride. So there's a ton of, dare I use the word, false prophets that will just sell you a bill of goods. So get a mentor, super, super important, because Lianna said in that video we did, you can go down 1,000 rabbit holes and spend, what did she say? Somebody said 3 years, still hasn't done a deal.
Yeah, 3 years.
So
oh my God.
Find a mentor, but check them out and make sure they're legit and get testimonials, find out who they work with, if they're real. And because you could go down a path, pay 10 grand, the last 10 grand you've got, and you get taken advantage of, and you'll never do the business. And that's the damn shame of it, is if you get the wrong mentor or coach or whatever, you could be done before you even start. And that's what just pains me, right? So that's the last message. Find somebody you can trust to work with, even if you got to work for free, right? Just give them just like Habitat. If you don't have any money, keep bugging them. Get them coffee, run their ads, put up their bandit signs, do whatever because everybody's got value.
Yeah.
Right. We all have value. Bring something to the table to give them. And there's plenty of people that, just like all three of us, we love teaching, right? All three of us do.
So true.
There's plenty of people out there that would love to teach you what they know. And if you don't have the money, offer to work for them, like Lianna said, for free. It was a perfect segue, because that will get you to the fastest path possible, finding somebody who can teach you what they know, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's so true. That's so true. And I like that advice too, because once again, look, I'm gonna go back to Dejan, because remember I talked about the 19-year-old guy who reached out to me. He was just like, "Look, I need help, da 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 da," and I was just like, "Okay, I got you, bro." I just wrote back like a long novel and just like gave him the advice that he needed right there in the moment. After that, he just continued to reach out to me. I just kept texting him back, and eventually he actually became one of my coaching clients. But before then, he had already closed some deals. He was like, "Oh man, thank you so much, da 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 da." So all you gotta do is reach out. A lot of times, all you gotta do is just reach out and see how you can be
pretty much
that person as well. And that's usually it. Like I've got, like my photographer actually is actually one of my coaching clients or whatever. Like he's a great photographer, and it's like a value exchange. It doesn't necessarily even have to always be like a financial thing. Find ways to be of service to people, just like you want them to help you. Find out, how can I help them? Well, I'm good at graphic design or whatever it may be. Like, get creative, think about it. Like, figure some things out, but find people that will help you. It doesn't always have to be paid for. A lot of times, like, you kind of pay what you for, you get what you pay for a lot of times. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. But it doesn't always have to be paid for. You can find somebody that may want to do it for free, get you a mentor, family, friends. Get that knowledge and really kind of get out here. But I love that advice though, Todd. Seriously. Like the value of paid coaching. I think the paid part of it too. I think that there is like an extra like dedication level that comes along with people who pay. Personally, that's what I've noticed. I used to coach for free. I tried. It's just like people just took advantage of the situation, or like they did.
Lianna, and once again, the universe doesn't work that way. right? We all have big hearts, right? We want to give, but and I learned this years ago, just in the personal development, you have to be as much of a receiver as you are a giver. And if you're all give, but you're not set up to receive, it's a one-way, and the universe isn't working that way because you're not set up to, you have to be able to give and receive. And it took me a long time to learn that, over the years. We all have our own baggage we bring, to adulthood from, whatever. But I've learned some people are kind of funny about money, right? They're afraid to talk. Like I was saying before, some people don't want to talk about to the homeowner, I'm going to flip your property or I'm going to wholesale it. If you can get comfortable giving and receiving, the universe will open the world up to you. And once again, it can be giving of time, right? You could be you could work for free, but you're still giving some kind of equity. It's got to be that value exchange, right? So.
Yeah, I like that a lot, honestly. And I've been thinking about that a lot lately. And that's part of the reason why I wanted to, do something different with my coaching system this year and actually start doing deals with my clients, working with them more manually and hands-on and things like that. So then it's more of a value exchange where it's maybe they're calling the sellers here in Chicago, maybe, and then I'll just slam dunk it on the other end. That's true value right there on both ends versus them just paying into something and then, maybe taking action, So, I really like that, though. I really like that. There has to be a value in exchange. And even if you really, really want to do it for free or something like that, there has to be value exchange. Otherwise, it's like you're shortchanging yourself and you're not helping that other person. Yep. And it never works pretty much when it's just absolutely free and there's no value exchange. It's kind of deep. Yeah. That's really kind of deep that you just said that.
Yeah, trust me. It sounds deep. I'm still a bit of a caveman myself, but I try. I've been around a while, and like I said, that whole value exchange, man, is once again, if you violate the laws of the universe, it's gonna show itself, right? And if it seems so simple now, but it took me years to get that. Years, So
I know how it is. So in that case, let me see. Let's see what our time. Whoa. Okay. So So I don't want to keep it going too long. I see we've been on here for quite some time now.
I was just thinking that.
Fatigue going on over here. So that being said, do you all have any kind of final words or anything else that we need to add in? I want to give you all a kind of I don't bow out of it, before we kind of wrap this thing up.
Yeah, I don't think so. Just really appreciate you letting us come on and telling our story, and it's awesome.
Yeah,
I don't have anything else to say.
If we hope that Lianna and I's story inspires other people, and real estate is for everybody. You can make money doing other things, but I think people, you know this too, Ed. I think 90% of the world's millionaires have made their money in real estate, and there's so many different niches you can get into. You can do fix and flip and wholesales and rent to own and private lending and multifamily, and I've done so much of it, and notes, and you can pick a niche and probably find somewhere in real estate that you really, really enjoy and do really, really well with it. And it's a real wealth builder, and it can open up so many more doors for so many other things. I feel like it's treated me well. It's treating Lianna well. It's treated you well. I think the final message is, if you really want to do this business and you want to find some freedom, real estate is probably one of the best ways to do that. And it's never been, I'm not going to predict about the market, but it's going to go through a cycle, but you can get in up, down, left, right. Doesn't matter what the market's doing. You can still make money in real estate. So I encourage anybody listening that wants to do this, jump in, get started, and don't wait a year from now. If you want to do it, start now.
Yes, that is some great advice right there. I swear. Just jump in. Don't wait a year, guys.
Yeah.
Don't wait a year. If you're listening to this, by next year, come back and listen to this and be like, this was the video that made me actually get up and start taking action. That's what I want to hear. I want to see somebody drop a comment down below and let us know that this video helped you.
Totally.
So real quick, guys, for you viewers or you listeners, if you're watching and you haven't already, hit the like button. What are you doing, guys? Go ahead, smack that like button for us, guys. Consider subscribing to the channel if you've liked podcasts just like this with Lianna and Todd. Actually, I would love to have you guys back on for some other conversations in some future episodes of the Wholesale Mastermind. But we'll chat about it, I'm sure. Yeah, matter of fact, once you all kind of get the the program, like once you maybe after the, this run that you're going to do with the 10 or whatever, come back home and chat about it. You know what I mean? Like when you're going to, expand or something like that. And we can kind of have you all on again and see how things have been going and whatnot.
Yeah, we can talk about what worked and what didn't. And yeah, it'd be awesome.
Hey, it's always going to be a lot of growth whenever we're kind of diving into some new things and whatnot. So I'm really looking forward to you all. I'm going to be on the lookout for the things that you all have going on as well. So I will probably be out at that webinar myself, maybe even. I'll be 100% honest, So we're going to check that out as well.
Awesome.
So, but yeah, no, guys, I appreciate you all coming on. I really, really do. Todd, Lianna, thank you so much for providing some value for the community here today. I'm sure that they'll be able to get some golden gems out of this one. I hope that you all,
awesome.
I hope that you listeners, that is, I hope that you all got some great value out of this one. But yeah, I think that's about it, guys.
Awesome.
Till next time.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, out.
Awesome.
All right, guys.